everybody. My name is Jay, and welcome to the First-Ever Gaia Podcast. I know, it's so exciting. Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy that you are here. We have a lot to talk about today. Right now, it's just me. In the future, I plan on bringing in guests, just talking. I have a couple guests coming up for the next couple weeks. I think it'll be very fun, very enlightening to have everyone here. Get their opinions on different things. In case you don't know, this is what I sound like. I know. Everyone probably thought that I was a girl. And that makes sense because, as we all know, Mother Gaia is a female, Mother Nature and such. And that actually brings us to the first topic, being, I should probably tell you guys about the character. So, actually, it was around this time last year that I decided that I wanted to get into the Twitter parody account group. God Squad was still a pretty big thing. We had tons of people involved in that. My account, the original Mother__Gaia, was just a very small part of the very big machine. Until about December, I started making comics. And with making my comics, I gained 50 followers pretty much within 2 hours of uploading the first comic. And so I was like, well, I guess I should keep doing that. So I started making comics and refining my upload schedule. For now, I think I've been sticking to uploading every day at 5:00 for a majority of how long I've been doing it. So that's good. I just was inspired by a lot of different things. The first being a woman on Twitter. Her name is Regina, and she is a fantastic artist. If you guys are interested in her, I will leave a link to her YouTube channel as well as her Twitter account in the bio below. I hope this. I think I'm uploading this on Twitter, or not Twitter. YouTube. I'm uploading it on YouTube. Just for now. Hopefully, I can get a little further from that in the future. Maybe like Spotify or Stitcher, stuff like that. But who knows? But yeah. Anyway, Regina Stevens at Regina's Horror on Twitter was my first inspiration. She did a lot of artwork for different God Squad members and their profile pictures, and I thought that it was really cool. I loved her stuff, and obviously it's a lot different than what I do. Mine is very simplistic, but I was like, I could do that, so I started making some of my own stuff, and I thought it was fun. And I still do. I love doing it. It's, I do it every day. Probably the most shocking part of all of this is that you all thought that I was a girl. And that's okay. Because when I'm on Twitter, I'm portraying a character. And that character being the Earth. And in my eyes, the Earth is Mother Earth. Mother Gaia. That's where the name came from. So a lot of people come to me and they say that I am Earth Mom, or they'll call me Mom, and they'll feel bad about polluting the Earth and the oceans and all that, which I think it's great. I love I'm totally the mom friend of all of my friend groups, whether it be on Twitter or in real life. So yeah, I'm always bringing snacks for everyone and making sure that you pick up your stuff. So if you guys are off put by me being a guy, then sorry. you know, just I hope that you can look past it and stick around, because Gaia is still going to be there. She's still a character, and I refer to Gaia myself as a female because she's always been a girl in my mind. So it's, I never meant to try and deceive anyone. I never meant to do anything like that. I was playing a character. My goal with that being, I like being creative, if you couldn't tell already. I love doing like new things, and I feel like a project isn't done until I've learned something new to make it finished. So with my comics, a lot of them I try new techniques, like in different things, like on the one that I uploaded on September 10th, there was a lot of filters being used, and I typically use the pen tool, but I was using the brush to make it look like smoke and fire and everything, because the idea was Pompeii, the whole Mount Vesuvius thing exploding and all that. So yeah, that's just an example. This episode is actually sponsored. I know, right? It's crazy. The first episode is sponsored already. Well, that's where you're half right, half wrong. It's sponsored by me, the Mother Gaia merch store. I know that sounds like a shameless plug, but it, honestly, it really helps me. I'm able to spend more time focusing on my comics, more time focusing on making this podcast for you guys, more time just being creative. It allows me to not have to worry about, where I'm getting money for my car insurance. So if you guys would like, you can go to redbubble.com/people/Mother Gaia, and you can pick up some stickers or t-shirts. I'm personally wearing my blue Mother Gaia t-shirt. And I'm really enjoying it. It's very good quality. I have a sticker on my bass guitar, stuff like that. It's fun. So yeah, one more time, redbubble.com/people/Mother Gaia. You can find anything there. It's all it's like reasonably priced, but I do actually give a portion of it to different charities. There's stuff on there that goes to the Trevor Project. I'll leave a link to them in the description below, as well as the Clean Ocean Act. So yeah, just go ahead and check that out in the description below, and I hope that you enjoy whatever you get, if you do choose to get that. Yeah. Let me say a couple phrases real quick, just to get you thinking a little bit. Yo, banana boy. A nut for a jar of tuna. Go hang a salami, I'm a lasagna hog. What do those things have in common, you may be asking? Well, they just so happen to be palindromes. Yes, that's right. In case you don't know, a palindrome is a word, phrase, or number that if you turn it backwards, then it says the same thing. So yo banana boy is YOBANANABOY. And if you spell that backwards, it's still the same thing. Why am I bringing this up? Well, because today, on the day of recording, September 10th, 2019, is the last palindrome date for the rest of the century. Like, that's crazy to me, because there's people alive that either this is the last time they'll ever have that, or there are also people that will be alive like within the next couple of years that may survive until the next one. The next one doesn't happen for 92 years from now. Like, it won't happen until 2111. I don't know how we would even say that. Would it be 2111 or like 2111? I don't know. But I thought that it was interesting because there's stuff like that, like little phenomenon that people really like look over. So I thought that I'd bring that to everyone's attention. So another thing to happen today is the iPhone 11 was announced, or the iPhone Pro, or whatever it's called. Something's weird about the camera or something like that. Here it is. The iPhone 11. Apple's arcade subscription service. The Apple Watch has an always-on display feature. And the slow fees. Wow. Yeah, I don't know, guys. In case you don't know, which you should, my phone is the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. I love that thing. For a long time, I had my iPhone 5S, and I didn't get rid of that phone for like 3 years, and I had to at the end of it just because it caught on fire. Like, it got so overheated that it just burst into flames one night. I was like, well, I think I need a new phone now. So I went out and I got the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. And since that, I have become such like a Galaxy geek. I love Samsung. I think all of their tech is far superior. And I'm not like one of those guys that's like, oh, if you don't have this, then you're a loser. No, I don't care. People have preferences. But, you know, it's a fact that Apple has just been releasing pretty much the same stuff every couple years. You know, like, they make bigger screens, but they're also more prone to cracking. Meanwhile, Samsung has like Gorilla Glass on it, so it never breaks unless you like hit it with a sledgehammer or something like that. I don't know. I think it's dumb. But, you know, there's only so much that you can do about that. I like the comparison because it's fun. You know, you can compare a couple things and just see like people's different opinions on it and stuff like that. But other than that, it's like, you know, it's neither here nor there. You know, you can't waste time arguing about something that isn't gonna matter. You know, you're arguing about the computer that you had in your pocket. Do you think back in the 1960s when they were trying to launch the rocket to go to the moon, that they were focused on what kind of like radios they had? No. You know, if they had one of these things today, no matter what, even if they had like an iPhone from 2008, then they would be like blessed. It would be crazy. Technology changes. You shouldn't put all your efforts into one thing, because next year there's going to be something better. But yeah, that's just my opinion. But that's what this podcast is. This is just me talking about random stuff happening in the world, and you get to enjoy it. Sorry if it's like a little echoey too. I've never used this room before. It's the radio room at my school, and there was there's a air vent like directly above where I have the microphone sitting. So, you know, it's cool. It's secluded. It has some nice LED strip lights that change colors. Technically, I could be uploading this. Like, I could have this on the air right now, but I'm not really confident enough to use the switchboard. So I'm just going to let it sit until I can figure that out at a later date. Next is a section of this podcast that I would like to call What Did He Do? And if you couldn't tell by the name, this is the section of the podcast where I critique the man that lives in the White House. Some of you may know him as Donald Trump. Some of you may know him as that racist guy. I have, since being elected 3 years ago, I have yet to acknowledge him as the president, because he doesn't act like one. So if you have a problem with me talking about Donald Trump, then I suggest you turn off this podcast right now, because it's clearly not going to be for you. But if you can enjoy me making fun of the Great Tangerine, then you can stick around and enjoy what I have to say. The first thing that happened was that Donald Trump was angry at John Legend and Chrissy Teigen. And he was it seemed like he was really specifically targeting Chrissy, which, good luck trying to smack talk Chrissy Teigen, because she is the queen of clapbacks. So Donald Trump was putting together an act or a law or something that said, this is a quote from him. When all of the people pushing so hard for criminal justice reform were unable to even come close to getting it done, they came to me as a group and asked for my help. I got it done with a group of senators and others who would never have gone for it. Obama couldn't come close. So there's a lot to unpack right there. First off, that first line is like, that's a run-on sentence. So I hate to be a grammar Nazi, but that that's a lot. He says that a lot of people were profusely grateful at the time that he signed it into law. No one else did. Republicans deserve much credit, but now that it is passed, people like that had virtually nothing to do with it are taking the praise. And this is where it gets interesting. So Donald Trump was angry because he was not getting the credit that he thought that he deserved, and that other people were getting credit. Get over it. But the next part, that's the interesting part. He says, guys like boring musician John Legend and his filthy-mouthed wife are talking now about how great it is, but I didn't see them around when we needed help getting it passed. Anchor Lester Holt, NBC, doesn't even bring up the subject of president or the Republicans when talking about it. That, that's something to unpack right there. And all right, let's take that a little bit. First off, calling John Legend boring is an insult to the music industry, which he clearly knows nothing about. So he should just stop right there. But no, he keeps going. He decides to insult his wife, Chrissy Teigen. He didn't even tag her. He says boring musician John Legend and his filthy-mouthed wife, which, excuse me, sir, but I distinctly remember you saying, grab her by the blank. I'm going to leave that blank because everyone listening to this should know what I'm talking about. You can't come at someone for being foul-mouthed when during your own rallies you were cursing at protesters and telling your followers to beat the blank out of them. I'm going to try and keep this family friendly. So that's why I'm not saying anything. But, and first off, Chrissy Teigen wasn't even part of it. She had no... John Legend, yes, he was getting a lot of credit for doing that stuff, which he did have a big part in. But Chrissy Teigen, she wasn't involved in it, and she wasn't getting any credit for it. So why bring her into it, and why insult her? Was that just supposed to be a jab at John Legend, or are you just trying to start stuff? And I don't know if Chrissy Teigen responded or not, but I feel like she definitely should. Let's see. Let me look it up real quick. Okay, so she did respond with multiple responses. Like right here, she said, the absolute best part of his tweet is, I literally didn't speak in the special, nor was I mentioned. I'm cackling at the pointless addition of me being, because he cannot be a female dog synonym. It's so funny because she has no reason to like quake behind anything that Donald Trump says, because his threats are hollow and he's kind of a crappy person, and she does a lot to help people. So I don't understand. I don't understand why he is such a insane person. Speaking of insane, at the time of this recording, tomorrow is 9/11. Rest in peace. May your souls forever be at peace to the thousands of people that died in the attack on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon and the flight that went down in Pennsylvania. I take 9/11 very seriously. It was, I don't make jokes about it or anything like that. I think it was a very trying time for the United States. And the fact that Donald Trump claims to have invited the Taliban to Camp David 3 days before 9/11 is insulting to those thousands of people that died. It's disgusting, even. Like, he says that he was claiming to be trying to take peace measures, which I appreciate that. But do not let those people in this country. They don't deserve to be standing on American soil. And the fact that you want praise for canceling that meeting that nobody knew about, he puts himself in the spotlight to get cracked on. He thinks that he's doing these great things, but inviting the Taliban, the people responsible for 9/11, into our country 3 days before the 18th anniversary of it is disgraceful. And I don't even know how to respond to that. I'm so I'm really inclined to believe that he didn't actually invite the Taliban over and that he was just trying to make himself look good. But it doesn't. Donald, if you are listening right now, because I know that you love listening to media that has anything with your name on it, then resign. Just leave office. That's what I have to say to you. You're a disgusting person, and I hope that you're gone. Just today, on September 10th, we found out that he fired John Bolton, which was the National Defense Advisor. Now, I don't really know much about John Bolton. I'll admit that up front. I don't really know anything about him. I don't know if he does well at his job or anything like that. But what I do know is that this was Donald Trump's third National Defense Advisor. He's been elected for 3 years now. So if you do the math, that's an average of one National Defense Advisor per year. And I hate to draw comparisons to past politicians, but Barack Obama had 3 national defense advisors over his entire 8-year terms. So it really just begs the question, why is it that Donald Trump has had as many defense advisors as the previous president did over 2 terms? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what goes on in the White House besides a whole lot of clownery. I know that Donald Trump has a thing about firing people. If you ever seen The Apprentice, a lot of people joked about that during the 2016 election. They were like, "Oh, he's just gonna fire everyone," and he's actually doing it. Like, he's gone through like White House representatives, and national defense advisors like their candy. He's just, once one's done, there's another one. He's on his 4th one now. I don't know if he's actually the guy, but there is someone labeled as the sitting national defense advisor. So he's on 4 in 3 years. That's crazy. He said that his approval rate was at an all-time high. It was at 44. It was at 44. And, cool. That's real great, Mr. President. But that's by no means anywhere near a high approval rating. That's below 50%. And now it has actually dropped to 38% because 60% of the country is preparing for a recession in 2020 because he keeps wanting to make a trade war with China. Just not into that. I'm not into the whole recession idea. I've lived through the 2008 recession, and let me tell you, that was not fun. My family was affected by that seriously, and it was not great. So, it was only a 6% drop, but now he's at 38%, which is shocking. If he actually wins in 2020, I don't know what I'm going to do, because there clearly has to be something off about that. If he's at a 38% and he wins, then there's something jacked up there. And that ends the session on what did he do. Next, I'd like to cover the creepy Australian house that everyone seems to be like super into. In case you are an Australian listener and you live in southern Australia, there is a place at 10 Mellery Crescent in McGill. And it is a 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 3-car garage house. And it made headlines because it has a very creepy feeling to it. And you don't really know why. Like, if you take a look at that first picture, you just see like a house with a nice like wraparound porch, black roof. It's like made of stone. It's actually really pretty. It looks like a nice property from the outside. There's a couple of drone shots, and then you get to the front porch, and it's a little strange. It looks like it's like terracotta on the like that you'd be standing on, and it has like very church-sized stained glass windows. Then you go inside, and it's a little strange. There's a lot of statues around. The carpeting doesn't really match the wallpaper. Everything looks like it's supposed to be like an oddity museum. Like every hallway, every carpet, it's all different. Like all the wallpapers and everything, and nothing matches. There's like a wooden porch on the roof. It's like a square. You can look out on the Australian wilderness. There's a pool and what looks to be a jacuzzi in the back. So it looks like a nice property. But then you get to a picture of a room with it's like they're like scarecrows, and they're all very creepy. There's like giant fake bats everywhere. There's giant spiders. There's a mannequin that looks to be dressed up as a Satan follower, or someone who practices witchcraft, like dark arts and kind of stuff. In the next picture, there's it looks like a composer or something on the mantle of a fireplace. It looks like a normal picture, but then there's a picture of Alice Cooper in a straitjacket just on the wall, which is, that's cool, but there's like creepy dolls everywhere, and there's like plants coming in the windows from the outside. It's very unsettling. And like there's a picture here, like above another fireplace, and there's just a football jersey. Like, well, it's in Australia they call it football. It's soccer in the United States. A soccer jersey on top of the mantle. There's no reason for that to be there. It's so out of place. Everything about this house is just, it's unsettling, and I definitely suggest checking it out, because tell me if you would want to live there. I don't know if I would, because it's a cool property. I'd have to gut it. I would not want anything in there to still be there. Like, the driveway's cool, the pool's cool, the garage is neat, but I was looking at it earlier with my friend and my girlfriend, and it's creepy. It's definitely very strange. On a more serious note, today is September 10th, meaning that it is World Suicide Prevention Day. I myself have known 3 people throughout my life, specifically within the last 2 years, to take their own lives. And I also know what it feels like to not be able to go to anyone, or feel like you aren't able to go and talk to anyone. I understand what that feels like, and it's dark and scary. It's not a fun place. So I just want to point out that if there's anyone out there listening that feels like this might be the end of the line for you, just call the suicide hotline. It is 1-800-273-8255 in the United States. If you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community, you can check out the Trevor Project. They do a lot of suicide prevention stuff for that group of people. They've been a great help to me. I feel very comfortable in confiding in them, whether it be for myself or if I know someone else is in danger of themselves, then I can let them know, and they can contact them and help them through anything that they need. There's going to be a list from the International Bipolar Foundation in the description below. That is it's a list of international suicide hotlines, and it has a lot. It doesn't have every country, but it does have a lot of populous countries. So if you are in need of help, please do not hesitate to ask. It is very important to help yourself, because the world's a dark place, and we got to be there for each other. So, put yourself first in this situation. Make sure that you get yourself safe, get yourself some help, stay healthy, all that jazz. So this is a fun section. I've been really excited to talk about this section. This is called This Week in History. This just has a couple of my favorite things that happened within the last 100 to 200 years. Honestly, it can be whenever, but this will be for the week. This will be for the week of September 8th to September 14th. These are just a couple of my favorite things. So, the first thing is, back in 1897, the first drunk driving arrest happened, and it happened in England. The guy that was driving drunk was he was actually a taxi driver, and he drove into the side of a building. He just drove his car in, and you know, those cars back then really weren't able to go that fast. So I thought it was interesting that there could be like such a thing, like even back then. I don't know. It doesn't feel weird like that was something that they had to deal with over 100 years ago. And you know what the funny part about that is, that it happened, and like that was like a genuine issue that England had in 1897, and it took the United States 13 years to make drunk driving illegal. And actually, it only started in New York. Like, New York did it, and I think the year after, that's when they made it illegal in the United States. It has been 3 years since the beginning of those creepy clown sightings. Do you remember that? Back in 2016, there were just like people popping up all over the country, actually all over the world even, where they just had people in clown costumes, and they were just kind of like standing there watching people. I think we should bring that back. I think that we need more clowns around, make people a little more cautious, because there seems to be people like doing some really stupid stuff these days. I think that a little bit of a creepy clown should get them back in shape. There's actually a movie coming out about that. It premiered last year, but it's supposed to premiere sometime this month. Actually, I don't know when it happened. I don't know when it's happening, but you know, I'll look into that and get back to you next week. Like I said earlier, it is the 18th anniversary of 9/11 coming up this week, and like I said, it's a very hard time for many Americans. A lot of people remember where they were on 9/11 and usually tell their stories then. If you ever get the chance, go check out the 9/11 memorial in New York City at the base of the One World Trade Center. It's so beautiful. It's always really quiet too. It's a stunningly quiet part of New York City. So there's big fountains that are the size of the North and South Tower. So yeah, I definitely suggest checking that out. It'll definitely be worth it if you ever get the chance. On 9/13/1959, the Luna 2 becomes the first man-made object to land on the moon. How about that? That was, what is that, 60 years ago? Is that right? Am I doing my math right? No. But yeah, 60 years ago. How about that? Yeah, that was a big accomplishment. We didn't do that though. That was the USSR, not the USA. Although 10 years later, not in September, the United States becomes the first country to put a man on the moon. But this was the first man-made object, and it was big. Well, it wasn't big in like modern day standards, but it was very wide. It had a very big base and kind of looked like it was covered in like bumps or something. And this week marks the 20th anniversary of Fight Club, which, if you guys don't know, I am a film student, and that is like so many people use that as an example in film classes. It's very popular. It does a lot of very interesting techniques, and it is a classic example of a twist ending. In case you haven't watched it, I won't spoil anything, but yeah, it's 20 years on Tuesday, so check that out. It's a fun movie, and if you've already seen it, then watch it again. It's a fun movie, so you should watch it. This podcast is sponsored by Fight Club. No, it's not. But so yeah, just check that out. And that brings us to the end of our first podcast. If you guys have anything that you would like me to cover in the future, if you guys have anything that you would like me to talk about, or if you want me to cut back on certain things, just let me know. This is my first time ever doing this. Well, my first time running a podcast for myself. I've been on other stuff before, but I have this entire room to myself for a whole hour. So if you want me to try something new, if you guys want me to do other stuff, eventually I want to get a camera and mount it so that I can talk and like you guys can have something to watch. I might even try and do this live sometime. As a preview for next time, we're going to try and get the account Heroish Thoughts. He portrays the hero. He's a character and a good friend of mine. Also, you may know him as the Holy Spirit. We're gonna have him come on, and I'm gonna interview him. This is gonna have some sort of format, but it's gonna be very loose. So if you guys are interested in having me do other things, just let me know. It's a work in progress. So I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you did, then leave it a like, maybe share it around a little bit. This is, it's brand new. It's a very fun new thing. So share it around. If show it to your parents, show it to a Trump supporter so that they can get grumpy. If you enjoyed it, please tell me in the comments below. And share it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can tag me on Twitter. It's Gaia Comics, or at Gaia_comics. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it is Mother Earth Comics. Any business inquiries, it's earthcomicsbusiness@gmail.com. So it's I hope that you liked it. I don't really have a sign off or anything, so if you guys would like to come back next week, then there should be another episode up within a week. So thank you all very much for listening, and we will see you later.